What if I was to tell you that the guy who burned his foot on a George Foreman grill, ran over one of his employees with a car, and fell for a Nigerian prince scam was actually a genius on failure and success? I'll tell you how, and it's going down. Hello everybody, my name is Rob Gardner, aka The Poker Pastor, and on this YouTube channel we study and strategize how to get better at life on and off the poker table. Now, if you get any value from this video, please click the like button below and drop a comment for us below the video. We love to hear feedback from you on how these things are changing your life and the impact they're making. And also, of course, hit the subscribe button so you can get updates whenever we post new videos weekly here on this channel. So failure is one of the most polarizing events in a person's life. It can be an incredible source of gut-wrenching pain and paralyzing suffering. It can also propel you to a better version of you than you ever knew was possible. Now, if you've never watched The Office, you may not get all the Michael Scott references, but you're still gonna get a lot from this video because these are lessons that I have learned along the way from the many failures that I've made over the course of my life. So the first lesson of failure I want to talk about today is that failure is what you have done, not who you are. So in season 4, episode 1, called The Fun Run, Michael Scott puts together a rabies race for the cure because one of his employees had gotten a precautionary rabies shot after an interaction with a wild bat, and Michael wanted to raise awareness for rabies, and so he decided to put this huge fundraiser together. After raising a whopping $700 for this fundraiser, there was a 5K run for the cure that he required all the employees to run and participate. And in true Michael Scott fashion, he decided to prepare for this run by carb loading. Well, the traditional way you carb load for a running race, I ran cross country and track in college, is to eat carbs about 24 hours before a race. But Michael Scott, being Michael Scott, decided to eat a full bowl of Alfredo a mile into the race. And then, because rabies supposedly in his mind creates an incredible fear of water, he decided not to drink any water. So needless to say, he gets about 2/3 the way through the race, eating a buttload of Alfredo in the middle of a race, not drinking any fluids and being dehydrated, and he yaks it all over the place. But it's at the finish line that Michael Scott delivers this gem of a line. He says this: "Everybody was applauding for me at the end, my guts and my heart. And while I eventually puked my guts out, I never puked my heart out, and I'm very, very proud of that." Finishing the race did not magically stop Michael from being covered in his own puke. The consequences of his actions did not go away, but he understood that he was the same human being after the race that he was before, even though he was covered in his own mistake. It is so easy for us to make the identity of our lives the mistakes and failures of our past, when all of our opportunities lie in the present and the future. We have to remember that while we still have to live with the consequences of our actions, our potential for good, our ability for good, our opportunity for excellence still exists despite the mistakes we have made. So my takeaway from Michael Scott: yes, we are going to make mistakes in life, and the consequences of those, we're going to wear our life puke, our life mistakes. There's going to be things that are going to happen, but who we are as a person, our heart, our desire for good, our opportunities, they're still there. We still have the capability to make a difference. And our identity moving forward doesn't have to be what we did in the past, but what we can do in the future. So the second key lesson about failure that I want us to learn today is that failure is a requirement for success. In season 5, episode 23 of The Office, Michael Scott has broken away from the corporate world and made his tiny little paper company, the Michael Scott Paper Company. And him, Pam, and Ryan are struggling their way through starting a new business. He tells them, "You miss 100% of the shots you don't take," quoting Wayne Gretzky, quoted by Michael Scott. Now, if there was one thing that was consistent about Michael Scott all throughout The Office, it's that he was willing to chase anything with zero fear of failure. We saw him again and again and again chase success blindly, not worried about the consequences of messing up or making a mistake. And the lesson we get from this is that every time we want to try and succeed, failure is going to be a part of the risk. When you get aces and you go all in pre-flop, you're not guaranteed to win every time. When you make a deep tournament run and you get to a final table bubble, you're not guaranteed to win every time. You have to lose a certain amount of times in order to get that win. And the rarer that success is, the more valuable it tends to be. And so when you want to do something really incredible, really great, really amazing, you have to be willing to chase that 1 out of 10 times, which means you have to be willing to fail 9 times out of 10 in order to get there. As soon as we start to understand that failure is a component of success, we can stop fearing it and we can start embracing it. We can start understanding that each failure brings us one step closer to what we're trying to accomplish, and it stops being this embarrassment and it stops being this backlog, and it starts to be part of the process that grows us into the person we need to be to reach the successful goals that we have laid out before us. So the third key lesson of failure that I want us to learn from Michael Scott today is that we learn more from our failures than we ever do from our successes. As I sit here at 40 years old, I feel like I have a wealth of knowledge that I've learned along the way, and literally almost all of it has come from stupid, idiotic, embarrassing mistakes that I have made over the first 39 years of my life, and that I'll probably continue making over time until I'm dead. But the truth is that because of those mistakes, I got valuable wisdom from the mistakes I made, both in learning how I got there and learning how to overcome the consequences of that. And it's given me a great foundation, not just for helping others, but also for making better decisions as I move forward. So in season 6, episode 21 of The Office, Michael is putting a little happy hour together to try and get the employees of the warehouse and the office interacting more and hanging out together. And there's a group of people from the office that decide to try and hook Michael up with this girl who's coming to the party. And once Michael realizes what's going on here, he reaches over to the camera crew and pulls them aside and tells them this little gem. He says this: I would say this: I kind of have an unfair advantage because I watch reality dating shows like a hawk and I learn. I absorb information from the strategies of the winners and the losers. Actually, I probably learn more from the losers. Now, Michael understood that success teaches us way less about life than failure does, and he was embracing this. And while there was some satire to the quote itself, it is so true in how we approach failure. And if you think about it, especially if you're one of those people that does want to have an impact in other people's lives, you want to help people, you want to help your friends, it's a lot easier to help people go through things if you've been through them yourself. It's a lot easier to help people through the mud if you know what it's like to get through the mud and succeed going through the mud. And so there is so much value to the mistakes we've made. We can't change them. We can't take them out of our past. So how do we make the most of a mistake that can't be changed? We learn from it, we grow from it, we take that knowledge, and we help people apply it to others. And so yes, would I love to say that I lived my first 39 years of my life perfect, that I never made any mistakes? That would be great. And there would be some value to that because there's definitely mistakes I've made that have hurt people along the way or done damage or whatever. But that being said, the mistakes are made. They're not going anywhere. The best thing I can do now is learn from those mistakes and take that knowledge and wisdom and use it to help others and to help myself. And that's exactly what I've had the opportunity to do, and it's the opportunity you have to do. So just remember, when you get into times, maybe there's certain situations in your past that are really embarrassing, really hurtful, that you really regret, remember, you could still get value from those situations and give value to others if you're willing to embrace the learning process that comes with it, and you're willing to take that knowledge and digest it and put it back out there into the world. So this last lesson about failure, I'm literally going to quote Michael Scott verbatim because I think he said it better than I ever could. So in season 2, episode 11 of The Office, they're on a big boat, they're having this little company retreat, and Jim Halpert, one of the main characters of The Office, goes up on top of the boat. He just found out that the woman of his dreams, Pam, is getting engaged to Roy, and Roy's a real scumbag. He's a terrible person. He's bad for Pam. Jim is heartbroken because he has feelings for her, and he confides in Michael and tells him about having feelings for Pam and how he feels. And as they're interacting, Michael looks at him and says that, he's just engaged, is no big deal. And he finally asks Jim, do you love her? And he says, yes. And then he says this, he says, never, ever, ever give up. Typical Michael Scott fashion, the extra ever, right? But I love that he put that emphasis on it. And for those of you guys that haven't watched The Office, let me just tell you how critically important this scene is to the entire 9 seasons of The Office. in the last season of The Office, Jim and Pam, they end up getting together, they end up getting married. They're going through some struggles. He's working in one city, she's working in another city. Their marriage is, I don't want to say on the rocks, but they're struggling a little bit. So Jim makes a montage for her about all of the things that happen from start to finish and kind of their love story. And as you watch this montage, it was so powerful. I'll admit, I cried, because you see so many opportunities where they could have given up. So many opportunities where they could have split apart, where things couldn't have worked out, but because they stuck to it, because they pushed through it, because they continued believing in the future, they made it. And it was such a powerful story. And as I watched that, I thought back to this moment in season 2 when Michael told them, he didn't just say never give up, or never, he said never, ever, ever give up. It was so important to put the cheesy extra ever in. And I can't stress this enough, people. I know that life can be really hard. I know that you can make some failures in life that can literally tear you apart from the inside, that can literally make you feel like there's no hope for the future. But as long as there is breath in your lungs, as long as there is a beat of your heart in your chest, there is still opportunity for good. There is still opportunity for impact. There is still opportunity to make a legacy. You are not dead. And yes, you can make some mistakes that can cost you the credibility you want to have, that can cost you friendships, that can cost you relationships, that can cost you a family. That doesn't mean you can't still make an impact. And it doesn't mean that you should give up. You always, always, always could keep striving. You never know when that next breakthrough is going to come through. But the only way that you truly guarantee that you're not going to get that breakthrough is quitting and giving up. So I want to sum it up by saying this. Life is hard, and the temptation to give up in life can be a very, very powerful one. But if you look back in history, there are so many incredible stories, so many powerful heroes who literally, their story was one give up away from never happening. There are people who have failed time and time again in business, in life, in family, in relationships. And because they took that one more step, because they got up one more time, because they gave one more effort, they were able to do something incredible in their lives. And the worst thing I could ever want for anybody would be to be one step away from that big breakthrough, one step away from that success, one step away from that dream, and they give up. Don't give up, people. Keep fighting. Keep believing in yourself. Understand that failure is what you do, not who you are. Understand that failure is a key component in success. Understand that you're going to learn more from your failures than you're ever going to learn from your successes, and never ever give up. That's all I've got for you today. I hope you guys got a lot out of this video. Please leave us some comments below. Let us know your thoughts. Maybe you have some different lessons on failure that you can help teach us. Maybe you can tell us about how this video impacted you in a positive way. And one more thing, I won't always ask for this, but I do want to put this out here today. Maybe you know a friend or a family member who's struggling with failure. They may be in the poker community, they may not be in the poker community, and this video might be a source of inspiration, encouragement for them. Don't be afraid to show them the link and check this out. This might be a cool, relaxed way for them to get some cool encouragement and life advice and help them maybe take a step forward in the right direction. That's it for me, Poker Pastor. As I say always, dream big and be bigger.
I'm gonna rip this in. Ooh. Queen ball. Let's go. First win of 2020, baby. In the books. The bear is off our back.